Okay, so hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the From the Farm Yard podcast. And in today's episode, we're kind of talking about a more a topic that is of right now that's kind of important that we thought we would bring on the podcast. But eggs. I know that that's a huge topic right now because of shortage and increase in price. It's just, it's crazy. I have backyard chickens, so I'm getting eggs. So sorry to all you people who have to buy eggs. That sucks. But we're just gonna talk over like why there's an egg shortage and if you should get chickens right now, maybe to produce eggs for yourself, and like maybe your chickens aren't laying right now and you have to go to the store and buy these outrageously priced eggs. So we're going to talk about that in today's episode. So I'll start this out with why is there a shortage? So within the past year, you've probably heard of it, but avian influenza just like became a big deal, right? So if you were a poultry company, whether it be for meat or egg production, the USDA required all your birds to be tested for the bird flu. So what that did is if one of your birds had this avian influenza, they would have to kill your whole flock, which resulted in over like 50 million of these birds being killed because they would just have to like terminate the whole flock. Because if one has it, it spreads very fast. So they just have to kill the whole flock. So what that did is companies had to restart all over again their flocks, meaning they had to go and buy chicks and start all over again. And when you start from chicks, it's like it's not a good scenario as a company because they don't start laying till they're about 6 months, which we've talked about that before. So at like 6 months, then they're gonna start laying. So that right there caused a shortage because you have a gap between when the hens stop laying and when they're starting to lay. So it's just now finally caught up to us, and now we have a shortage in eggs. So because they killed off majority of the flocks, restarting until the egg production gets back to normal, and then like that's just the shortage right there. But the increase in egg prices, that's inflation. Let's just be honest. So, but I would say that that's a good reason for why we have a shortage. But do you want to talk a little bit about some of the reasons why chickens may not be laying right now?
Yeah. A big reason that chickens are not laying right now is they're molting. Not the biggest thing, but they usually start molting at about 18 to 24 months. Somewhere in there is their first molt, and then every year after. But molting is a big thing if your flock's over a year old. And then I'd say the biggest thing is light. We literally just passed the winter solstice.
Yeah.
Like 3 weeks ago. We are sort of still at the darkest time period that we're going to be in the entire year. And chickens need 16 to 20 hours of light to produce one egg. So if you're only getting 10 hours of light a day, which most of the time we're getting less this time of year, then it's going to take 2 days to produce an egg or a day and a half. So it's all of that going in, but yeah. Light is a big thing, and molting. And also some chickens just take a break. Natural cycle of their bodies might just tell them it's too cold to hatch out chicks. Mm-hmm. Let's just stop, because there's no benefit in wasting the energy of the hen to produce an egg that's not going to produce anything,
Yeah.
or that's going to die before it can mature.
Mm-hmm. And so a little bit of detail of what molting is, in case you don't know. Maybe you do. If you're a chicken owner, you probably know what molting is. But in the fall, before winter, or sometimes in the dead of winter, I've seen my hens do it. I don't know why they do it right in the middle of winter, but they do. It's like not the
My
smartest,
hens are
but
doing it right now. I
yeah,
have
it's
like
not
4 that are heavy molt.
it's not the smartest. I'm like, why didn't you do this earlier? But chickens go through a process called molting. It's when a hen loses all her feathers and grows in new fluffy ones to keep her warm over winter. And the process takes so much out of the bird that they have to stop laying because they just don't have enough energy to do both. So that's, like you said, a reason for why your hens may not be laying and why some other companies' hens may not be laying. You know, there's chickens have this time in winter where they, like you said, they take a break, and you can't stop the break because it needs to happen. And then with light, a good thing you can sometimes people do it. I don't recommend it, but people put like light in their coop, maybe like just a light in their coop, and it gives the chickens extra daylight, like extra light to make them think like we can lay more. But I don't recommend that because chickens are supposed to only produce a certain amount of eggs. That's how much their body is going to produce. And once they reach that point, I mean, you could have a shorter lifespan for your bird. Your bird could die sooner, or it will just stop laying sooner if
A lot sooner.
yeah, if you force it. So I don't recommend like a light in the coop. Chickens need a break. This is their time to relax. I mean, you got to think a chicken's cranking out eggs every single day. That gets old. Sometimes you need just a minute to just breathe.
Yeah, and everybody that I've watched on YouTube have all had about the same consensus on this, and even chicken keepers in general have all had the same agreement. They don't use artificial light because they're supposed to have that natural break. I mean, you think of wild ducks, for example. They, like domestic ducks, khaki Campbells will lay all year long.
Yeah.
They don't, I mean, they molt and stop here and there, but they lay basically all year. If you look at a wild duck, mandarin, mallard, they'll lay maybe 30 to 60 eggs in the spring and summer, hatch them out, raise them up, do it again to make sure they continue. You're thinking like natural term of things, 30 to 60 eggs a year. Chickens are pumping out 320 or 340, I think the maximum, and then that I've seen, and then down to like 180, 120 on slower breeds. That's a lot for your hen to keep up with. And I know a lot of that's controversial. I'm not going to go into all of that, but we have messed with the genetic cycle of animals a lot, in my opinion. Because, I mean, I've talked to my great grandparents and they said chickens were only half this size 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Does that not tell us anything that we're doing something wrong? I mean, it might be helping now, but it is morally wrong to me, at least. I don't know how you feel, but
we've bred them to be better for our needs in the same sense. We have so many different types of like combinations now. It's ridiculous. I mean, some breeds just aren't a necessity. Like bantams, like we said, we've done videos on chickens, chicken keeping. We have a playlist, all our videos, you know, I can link. They're on our YouTube channel. Check them out if you want to learn about chicken keeping. We have a video there. But there's so many combinations, and some like breeds just aren't if you are wanting chickens for egg production. Like bantams, they're not the best breed. They're good for show, but they're not good egg layers. So I think we've really bred a lot of chickens, and we've cultivated And we've just made so many combinations for so many different things. Like we've got meat birds, we've got show birds, we've got birds just for egg production. I mean, it's crazy. There's so many types
And
of chickens. So
yeah,
many.
and white leghorns are the most prolific. I'm pretty sure that's the eggs that you're getting in the store. I mean, white eggs
Yeah.
in general, just because they're the best layer in general. They've been bred to produce the maximum amount of
Mm-hmm.
eggs on the smallest or with the least nutrition, I'm gonna say, because they're raised however they're raised. I know that's a big topic everywhere, how they're being raised in um, big commercial buildings, things like that. But they've been bred for those specific conditions, and they push out 340 eggs a week,
That would
340
be
eggs a
that's a
year.
super chicken right there.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. But they've been bred for that, to produce the maximum amount of eggs so we can mass produce and be able to accommodate everybody's needs. And it is and isn't a good thing in my opinion, but I will say this. We've always said this. I've always said this. Do your own research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, it's always better to support a local farmer, whether buying fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh chicken, uh, meats of any kind, pork, beef, um, eggs, anything that you can do to support a local farmer. You support celebrities online that you know nothing about, that you don't know a lot of their true intentions. And I think a lot of smaller content creators, specifically farmers, or not even content creators in general, just farmers, they share so much about their goals and everything. And you're willing to put everything into something that you don't know
Mm-hmm.
entirely about, but you won't put something into something that you know everything about, and then it's going to be better long term. That's where things get weird. But support locally and do your
Yeah.
own research on anything. We've always said this. So
And that kind of goes with next little topic here. So we have an egg shortage. So you're buying, like you said, support a local farmer. Eggs in stores are expensive. Maybe go to a backyard chicken farmer who has a lot of eggs. Maybe they will sell them to you for a cheaper price for a dozen because they just have so many. So, or maybe they're just giving them away. If you have somebody that's just giving them away, you're lucky. I mean, I would take them up on that
yeah.
for real.
And a big thing before we move on any farther, if you are going to support a local chicken keeper and you see that they're selling their eggs, I sell mine for $4 a dozen, $2 for half a dozen, just to accommodate like 18s and things like that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to complain about the price of things, I know $4 is, I mean, it was expensive looking back a year ago.
Yeah.
People were like, I'm not paying $4 for a dozen eggs. But looking now, they're willing to pay $4 a dozen when they're $5, $6, $7, $8
Yeah.
for eggs. But local farmers are doing the same thing everybody else is doing. They have to make a profit somewhere. And even if chicken keeping is not a big part of their income, it is at least a small enough portion that is making a difference. So if they're selling them for $4 like I am, and a year ago people were saying that's expensive,
Yeah.
I was doing that because my hens are organic feed.
Yeah.
They're fresh fruits and vegetables that I've grown, no chemicals, no nothing. I use
Mm-hmm.
everything
Yeah.
organic. And you're eating something that is so much better for you. Um, Side note, I was for Thanksgiving, I was with my grandpa helping, and he had store bought eggs, and that's what he made every time I was over there. But it had been a year and a half since I'd had them. So, any store bought eggs in general, I had it and I about spit it out. It tasted
There's a
so
difference. There's
different.
such a difference between something that
There
you've
is, it's
like
just,
raised and
yeah,
and it's the fact that you know where the chicken has been, you feed it, You know what it's eating, what it's drinking. You don't even know where these eggs are coming from that are in stores. We don't know what they're being fed.
Exactly.
We don't know anything about it. So I think that makes it so much, it just makes it so much better as a backyard chicken farmer, and I'm getting these eggs and I'm eating these eggs. It's just like, it's so rewarding when you go out to the coop and you find an egg and you know that, like, I know what these birds are eating and I'm putting into their system, and I know that this egg is, it's good
Better
for
for
you.
you.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's way better for you. I mean, when you're supporting a backyard chicken keeper, they're doing everything they can to make sure that they're getting the most nutrients out of anything that they're doing. If they're a homesteader, homesteaders are there to be self-sustaining. They're going to get the most out of everything they can do. I mean, that's not marking prices up, but a lot of times they are. If I'll use an example here. Goldshaw Farm posted a video, I don't know, 2 weeks ago now, maybe less, about what he sold his steer for. It was, in my mind, a lot of money before, like, he was selling the meat for. But it was, in my mind, when I first just heard how much it was without hearing anything else, it's a lot of money up. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of money then. But when you like really look down and look, feed costs have gone up. What is the animal eating? All of that is, how much better is it for you
How much
than
time are
something
you
else?
putting into the animal too? It's, you want to
Exactly.
make
And you're
all
either,
that back.
yeah, and he figured all that out and he was making a profit. And that's wonderful. That is what everyone needs to do. But two big factors in life that I've heard somebody say before, you're either going to spend money or you're going to spend time.
Yeah.
It's not both, it's either or. If you're not willing to spend the money, spend the time. If you can't spend the time, but you have the money to be able to spend the money, whatever floats your boat, honestly.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend time and really know what I'm working with than spend a lot of money and not know what I'm working with. I mean, people who run things commercially, everything they have is numbers on a spreadsheet. It's not like building 1A in Kentucky or whatever. It's not, you don't have a connection with the animals that you're working with. And I'm a Christian. I believe fully that it's that we were here to be stewards of the land and of the animals and
Yeah.
of creation, of life.
Yeah.
And I think we've done that really poorly. I mean, we're trying to correct things the best we can right now, but we're here to help, not to harm. And things have gotten skewered along the lines. Sorry, that's my little rant for the night. I'll be quiet now.
You're good. You're good. This
Get
is not
fired up
just
about
like
these things.
listening to my opinion. This is your opinion too.
But it sounded like more of my opinion there. I'm sorry.
Well, then now I'll go. I'll go for a little bit, okay?
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So, now let's say after all that Zach said, now you are inspired to get your own chickens. See? See? It's not a rant, it's an inspiration.
I
So,
agreed.
so let's say you want to get chickens. Um, like we said, we have videos for chicken keeping. There's a lot of videos on chicken keeping. Do your own research. I mean, we're just giving opinions off of what we've done and have experience with. But I've seen a lot of people with this egg shortage saying like, oh, like let's get chickens. Here's just some recommendations for getting chickens now. Um, so when you're getting, if you get chicks, like we said with the companies, you're starting from chick and they're not going to lay till 6 months. By that time, I mean, we may be out of the egg shortage and you had spent all that money and all that time feeding chicks that didn't even give you anything. So think about that first. But I think something that is a wise decision for right now, because we have a shortage right now. This is not something like if this was like, oh, egg shortage coming, you need to get chickens now and raise up. That way you're prepared. No, this is happening now. So my advice would be look for full grown birds between the age of like 10 months to like 3 years, because at 3 years they can still be laying, but they like kind of stop a
It
little bit.
decreases. Yeah.
Yeah, so between like 10 months, because at like 7 months they'll 6-7 months they start laying. So I say 10 months, 3 years, you're gonna have a chicken that's laying. So get a bird, whether it's on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, even maybe you have a local farmer right down the road that's just they can sell you some full grown birds. I mean, I think that's a good place to start. And I mean, get as many birds as you need, because I mean, it could be maybe a family of 4 and you only need 6 chickens right there, because you're then, if your chickens do lay, you're getting 6 eggs so a day. So 2 days you have a dozen right there. So get what you need, and I suggest getting full grown birds. That way you're not waiting and spending out money for
Yeah.
food for the birds, because then that like defeats the purpose. Yes, later you're going to have eggs, but this is, like I said, this is a now problem. So you're going to be buying high priced eggs, and you're going to be paying out for food for your chicks that aren't even laying. So it makes more sense
Yeah.
to me to just like nix eggs and just get like a full grown bird that will lay for you almost immediately when you bring it on the farm. So
Yeah.
if you want
And
to start
talking
birds.
about preparedness, like what you were talking about, where if you're getting birds now, you're not going to be prepared in 6 months when we might not be in an egg shortage anymore.
Yeah.
Or if you would have known about it a year ago, would you have gotten chickens then?
Yes. Of course.
Everything that we are in, I mean, the society that we're in, a lot of things, I mean, we are dependent on people doing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
If those certain things do not get met and trucks aren't getting delivered, things aren't happening, grocery stores aren't stocking up on things they're supposed to have. We've seen all of this. We are not new to this. We have lived through some of the worst things that we've seen in
Mm-hmm.
recent history. And if I could go back, and I'm sure if my parents would have gone back and they would have seen everything that we would have gone through, we probably would have gotten a farm. We probably would have gotten
Yeah.
more land than what we got. But they didn't know, so they couldn't just start then. I mean, things were really high then. I
Mm-hmm.
think land was super
Yeah.
expensive.
Land was
But
pricey.
anything can collapse at any time. I
Yeah.
mean, our food system, it's vulnerable. It can collapse. We all witnessed this during 2020. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're shaking your head and denying it, anybody, you're wrong, because there was facts. Stores were empty. You couldn't do anything about it. So don't wait until something happens. Start being
Yeah.
prepared now.
Yeah.
Don't wait until there's an egg shortage to get eggs. Don't wait
Yeah.
until you can't get fruits and
Yeah.
vegetables in the store to start growing vegetables.
This is
I mean,
this
vegetables are a
is
little bit more
yeah.
lenient, but still.
This is why we do what we do. This is why we as farmers, we want to become fully self-sufficient off of our land. So that way, if something does happen, we're prepared. We have food in our garden. We'll be able to stock our shelves with canned produce that we've grown, and we don't have to run to the stores. And I mean, what if the stores are out of food and we're
Yeah.
left hungry? This is why we raise meat birds. This is why, I mean, if we got a dairy animal, this is why we're gonna have our own milk, cheese, butter. I mean, looking, you want to be prepared. Like you said, don't hesitate, because once that time comes, like now, you're gonna almost wish that you had raised chickens a couple months before this happened, because you wouldn't be
Yeah.
dealing with going to the store and having to buy high priced eggs. But now you do, and it's here. So don't wait. If this is something that you want to do and you don't want to fully depend on the stores and you want to be prepared, start a garden this spring. Try it out. Grow food. That way
Yeah.
you can have, I mean, fresh food just straight. You go outside, there's a cucumber. You don't have to run to the store and buy it. It's like, that's why farming is so cool, because like you get to raise your own food. Like that's sick. I mean, you don't have to run to the store and buy all this stuff. And you're not dependent upon it. So like be prepared if long term. Yeah.
And I'm gonna quote one of in my opinion, the best YouTuber that I've ever watched, Jessica Sowards, Roots and Refuge. You probably all know her if you're into any homesteading, anything. Don't rush. I mean, not exact quote, but still, don't rush into something on an impulse decision that you have. And she says this all the time. This is an actual quote from her. Turn your waiting room into a classroom. Don't think that just because, oh, I'll get land in 10 years and then in 10 years I'll learn how to farm, I'll learn how to raise chickens, I'll learn how to grow a tomato plant for the first time. Don't wait, because then when you get there, you're going to be experiencing failure the first 2 or 3 years. I mean, that's
Exactly.
what it's going to be. Start now, as just said, turn your waiting room into a classroom, and whatever you can do right now, do it. If you can only grow a tomato in a 5 gallon bucket on your porch or your patio or in a small little 1 foot by 1 foot square, do it. Don't
Yeah. And that's
start that
that's
first tomato.
yeah, and that's why as us, I mean, we're still young, but we have this experience, this knowledge, whereas we're not going to go into it like just impulse, like you said, let's buy a farm and let's, grow a tomato plant. We already know how to do that stuff. And we have that experience, and it's going to be so much more helpful in the long run. And
Yeah.
so just
And when we
being prepared. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we get to that place, I mean, let's say you buy a farm in 5, 10 years, you can get to that place. And if you've never had a dairy animal before, you get your farm, if you've known how to garden, if you've raised chickens, ducks, turkeys, all that stuff, you can continue doing all that stuff on your farm. Don't quit. But you already know how to do this, so you can spend less time on those sorts of things and more time into something that you have no clue about, and fail on that
Yeah.
instead of instead of failing more so in the long run. And you already have acquired so many things, and it's just starting, just doing what you can where you can. I know we're running low on time here, but everybody reach out to somebody. I mean, people would love to share seeds with you. Farmers always have extra
Help you
seeds,
out, show you what to
extra chicks.
do, teach you things.
And if you can't, see if you can go, like, just watch somebody in their garden or volunteer to help pull weeds.
Yeah.
Pulling weeds is very much overrated. It teaches you how to do so many
Yeah.
things. Prune. The possibilities are endless, but I know we're running low on time here, so
Yeah. Start now. Don't wait,
yeah.
because if you wait, it may be too late, and then you're going to be looking back, man, I wish I would have done that. So, just a little advice from us. I think we went over pretty much everything that we wanted to talk about this in this episode. Um, but
And some
just
inspiration along the way.
exactly. That's what we're here for, y'all. We're here to inspire you and to educate you. So,
Yes.
we hope you enjoyed this episode. And we will see you all on the next one. See you guys.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in the next one.